Hi everybody, it's Jenna, and we're really excited to be kicking off our 6-week devotional with our week number 1. And so what this is going to look like is every single day we're going to get a different passage of scripture to read from Matthew. So we're going to be going through the book of Matthew. And secondly, every single week we're going to be going through a different spiritual discipline for that week, and it's going to be exercised differently every single day. And then finally, every day you're going to get a challenge with how we can better serve and love the people around us. So I'm really excited to say that the first spiritual discipline of this week is going to be scripture reading. And what this is going to look like is when we think of scripture reading, there's many different ways to read the Bible. And what we're going to focus in on is just one way to read the Bible this week. And so this is going to be centered around prayer and more of a posture of listening to what God is talking to us in that specific scripture. And it's less about analyzing the scripture and more about prayerfully listening and responding to the scripture in front of us. And so I'm just going to go through what that's going to look like. And it's going to be 5 different steps or 5 different exercises that we can do during this process. And so I'm going to go through those and just things that I do personally in my own devotional life that help me out in this way of reading scripture. And our hope in this is that as we do this every single day and as we do this throughout the entire devotion into the book of Matthew, that we are able to repeat this every day, and we are able to have this be something in our tool belt that will become second nature to us, and that will become habit, and we can use when studying any other portion of scripture in the future. And so the 5 things, the first one is silence. So what you're going to do is when you have your portion of scripture, you're just going to sit somewhere that's really comfortable for you. And now we're in a really unique situation right now because you are all home, and so most of you have your own rooms or a specific place that's more quiet than in your house or your home. And so it's really a good idea to distance yourself from the people around you. Find a place that's quiet. Find a place that you can be really comfortable. I like to sit on my couch. And it's really important for me to silence my cell phone so that that's not a distraction during this time. I put it away from myself so that I'm not even thinking about it at all. And then I just kind of sit in silence and I think about think about God, and I just think about this time that I'm going to be spending with him, and just be silent before God and kind of prepare my heart for the different things he's going to be speaking to me. I also ask him to speak to me as well. The second thing that we're going to be doing is reading the word. So whatever passage that is in the devotion of the day, you're going to read it. Now, it's really important that we read it out loud. I personally like to read it out loud because sometimes when I'm reading a passage of scripture, I can be reading but thinking about something else. But reading it out loud causes me to really hear the words and think about the words on the page. And then we want to stop and listen to what God is maybe speaking to us, or a specific part of that scripture that's catching our attention that day. And the third thing we're going to do is meditate. So you're going to read the passage again out loud, and you're going to think about what really lights up to you. What part of that passage is speaking to you, and what is God saying to you through that? And so what I like to do is I like to ask God, what are you saying to me? What are you speaking to me? And then we just sit and think about that passage that lights up to you, and think about how it makes you feel. The fourth thing we're going to do is to respond, and that is in the form of prayer. Sometimes during this time, I like to get my journal out, and I like to write on the top of the page the scripture that is lit up to me, and then I like to see that on the page and think about, how does this make me feel? What do I think God is saying to me through this scripture? And just kind of talk to God about those different things and pray to him about that scripture specifically. And then finally, we are going to contemplate. So you're going to, the same way we started the time together, resting in God and being silent, is the same way we're going to end. So now you have something more to think about, thinking about the scripture that lit up to you that day, but just kind of coming out of this time with God restfully, prayerfully, in silence, and just thinking about the different ways that you can bring this scripture into the rest of your day. So something that I like to do is I like to type that scripture out and put it as a background on my phone so that every time I unlock my phone, I'm thinking about it. You can write it on a sticky note, you can put it on your mirror, any way that you can remind yourself of the time that you spent with God throughout the rest of your day. So it's just a little bit of what it looks like in my life to practice this specific way of reading scripture. So I hope this is helpful, and we just really want to encourage you to get into the Word every single day, and we're really excited to start the next 6 weeks with you all.